hello. Welcome to Updated Autopsy Report, a podcast from Yotes, Ben, and Friends where we replay the entire Ace Attorney series with longtime fans and newcomers. I'm your host, Ben, and with me today is Dessy.
Hello.
And two friends of ours, Tiago.
Yeah.
And Rose.
Hi.
Dessy and I are the longtime fans, and Rose and Tiago are the newcomers. We hope that through both of our perspectives as we play through the series, it'll reveal new details and provide interesting commentary for a series that's near and dear to us. Today is a bonus episode. Instead of playing a case, we've instead all watched the 2012 Ace Attorney live-action movie directed by Takashi Miike.
I think
months
maybe
ago.
The world should have ended in 2012 to prevent this film from happening.
It should have ended on a high note.
I didn't really. Hey, you know what? Recent events. Go donate to your mutual aid fund.
Yeah. So this it was kind of interesting. If you've followed me personally for a while, you might know that I am the former managing editor of Japanator.com, which was Destructoid.com's anime and Japanese culture website. So I was there for the lead up to this movie. So I happened to be one of the people who was like trying to pay attention to, there's rumors that Takashi Miike is going to be doing an Ace Attorney live action film, you know? And so I was paying attention to the news at the time. In fact, if I recall correctly at the time, this is me going off memory, is that it actually was paparazzi photos of the shoot that got out first before the announcement was even officially confirmed. So all that we had heard was Takashi Miike was like, I'm doing a adaptation of a video game about lawyers, and everybody was like, well, I think I know what that is.
There aren't very many games like that out there.
Yeah, there's not many about that.
She-Hulk the video game.
And then the paparazzi photos came out of the shoot showing Maya and Phoenix near Gourd Lake. And so those got out there, and everybody was looking at these pictures of the actors in costume, you know, with cameras following them around and that sort of thing. And then the trailers came out, and it did wildly enough, it did a tour around the film festival circuit first, before eventually coming out in theaters in Japan in, I believe, February of 2012. And then also it got released at A2 Anime Festival here in America then as well that same year.
Okay, weird question.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you part of Japanator while we were dating? When did you stop? I don't even remember.
Well, I was there actually in two chunks. I was there for 2 to 3 years originally, started as an intern, and then not to like get too far into the weeds or anything like that, but
I remember there being that period of time where you tried to get it going again and it just didn't.
Exactly, yeah. So there were management issues that resulted in a lot of the staff leaving the site, and then once some new management took over, they invited me back and said, hey, we would like you to help reboot the site. And unfortunately, the reboot only lasted a year before the money dried up. And at that point, we all opted to move on. So after that, I then did some time writing for fanboy.com, which was just general pop culture. And that was kind of my stint in the Japanese and anime and pop culture, like, you know, writing for the web was those two websites mainly. But I was kind of in the muck and in the mire as all this was coming out. So I remember the lead up and all the promotional stuff still quite a bit here. But if you are not familiar with Takashi Miike, he is probably best known for films like Audition and Ichi the Killer.
I know the second one. I don't know the first one. Yeah,
he did remakes of Harakiri and also 13 Assassins. And he's probably also like just his like most well-known characteristic is that he pumps films out like crazy. He does 2 to 3 films a year sometimes during like the height of his career. He's still
Marvel
going as far as I'm aware.
That shit.
Yeah, he's one guy and he's just, you know, pumping these out left and right. But he does anything from really gruesome and violent like horror films to video game adaptations like this, to like family friendly movies as well. He does literally everything. Some of them are very good, some of them are very bad. I think that's just going to be the way things work out when you put out that many movies that quickly. Some of them are going to be hits and some of them are going to be stinkers.
So where do you think this film lies with the
well, let's, before I give my opinion on the film, let's at least summarize kind of what this film is, because it is basically taking the whole first game, taking a good chunk of it out, and then smushing the rest of it together. Essentially, you get your intro to Phoenix Wright, and to Larry Butts is at the very start, in which your Phoenix is defending him, and it is essentially like case one.
Yeah, the thinker,
right? The thinker case is that little, like, you just see the tail end of it, like them wrapping it up, but they just wrap that bit up and then immediately transition into case two. So you get to meet Mia, she gets murdered, and then you jump into Maya, defending Maya. But then they also, they like simplify things here quite a bit, as well. Because then the case of the Steel Samurai is removed entirely. Obviously, at this, we don't have case 1-5 show up here at all. And we kind of loop in the Miles Edgeworth case from the end, case 1-4, and kind of integrate that into this as well, and kind of have them kind of looped together. So they try to make one cohesive story out of game one and mix them all together. And they make some changes along the way.
It's like two cases, the first case, and then all the other cases from the original game mushed together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they just take out the Steel Samurai case out of game one, and like, I don't know if, like, general impression, I don't know if I like this film. But like, I find it, I guess that's just what had to be done, right? Like, video game adaptations of films have never been like historically good, except for like, I'll get back to that.
I was like waiting with bated breath for you to say something.
Say it, Tiago. Say it. What's a good video game movie?
I actually like the Resident Evil series from the early 2000s because it's good, like, stupid fun. But that's like,
all right, I would agree with that.
But that's inherently not Resident Evil, just like how this is inherently not Ace Attorney. I
wouldn't say it's completely divorced from it.
No. It's not completely divorced from it, but like, I find that a lot of the charm that I really enjoy from Ace Attorney was kind of lacking, which is just like,
this is a much more dour film than the games.
Exactly.
It's darker. It's a little bit more grim. And also,
no, I wouldn't say completely though.
Yeah, no, it still has some moments of humor.
Funny bits.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the funny bits. It's just the fact that, like, for me, Ace Attorney is inherently a comedy game. Like, I know there's drama in it, but like, it's mostly funny with like bouts of seriousness in it. But the movie is just like, it's gritty. It's kind of bizarre. Like, we see
that's like dark future.
It's like it's a dark future. It's like the Dark Knight of video game movies for no reason. And that's like not far. Like, that's, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, that's the Dark Knight of, that's the Dark Souls of, that's the dark of." It is dark. It is inherently a dark.
Thanks, Vinny Caravella.
Thanks, Vinny Carvalino. Like, I enjoyed the parts that I enjoyed of this film, and I did not like the parts of the films I did not like. And
that's a statement.
The guy who plays Phoenix fucking nails it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl who plays Maya does not nail it, and that is not due to her fault. That is due to the character's writing.
Yeah.
And, like, Maya's inherently a goofball sidekick. That's just what she is, and she isn't.
She's like a late teen, but in here she's like mid-20s feeling.
Not only that, but like, she just isn't given an opportunity to be a goofball. Like, she's
very solemn the whole film.
That's because, like, to be fair, her sister did die like 3 days ago.
Right. It makes a little more sense, because we don't have the heightened, like, exaggerated sensibilities of the games here, and instead everything's a little bit more muted. It's toned down a little bit as far as how goofy things get. It's not like...
It also feels like it's going at light speed compared to the game.
Yeah, you got a lot of cram in there.
2 hours worth of was essentially like 5 hours of gameplay, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember how long it takes to beat Ace Attorney 1.
It depends on how you play it.
I don't know. Rose, you have opinions about things in this film.
Hi. I'm lifting the curtain. I've been chugging coffee this whole time, listeners. I was not kidding. Those bits we were talking about how Rose is Godot? We were not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm functional.
We're recording earlier than usual today, and Rose needs her IV
like 30
intake.
minutes earlier than usual.
I'm
It's
dying,
fine.
Squirtle.
It's fine.
On Rose's request.
Listen, it's complicated.
It's summertime.
Sometimes my family says, we're doing this at this time, and I go, whoop, okay, gotta move things around. Anyways, I watched this movie twice. I watched it with a group of friends, some of whom knew nothing about Ace Attorney, and then I watched it again by myself. And I have come to the conclusion that if you don't know anything about Ace Attorney and try to watch this movie, you're screwed. And
Yeah.
if you do know stuff about Ace Attorney, you're also screwed. Because I don't know. Like, I think that it had some moments that were so great that it somehow justifies the entire film. Everyone has seen the almost Christmas wasn't Christmas, and everybody in the courtroom falls over for no reason.
That is hilarious.
That's literally the best scene in the whole movie.
It is the second best scene in the whole movie.
I know my favorite scene in the whole movie.
They got some stuff right. The judge looks perfect,
The judge isn't goofy in this. He's very serious and stern.
But,
you don't fuck with this judge.
But nobody is goofy. Like, Phoenix is kind of goofy, but also, I don't know. I felt like it was shot, and knowing that this guy fucking cranks these movies out really helps you understand it, because, some of the shots don't make any sense. Some of them go on for too long. Some of them are way too short. The costumes and the set design are wacky and outrageous, which is good for Ace Attorney, but everything's very colorless and, like I said, very horror movie, very gritty, and it's honestly, I'm impressed that they threw together these sets and had this weird mechanical futurism vibe that worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool. I just think that it wasn't a good movie overall.
Yeah,
again, totally justified by a handful of scenes.
Yeah,
But
to establish it for listeners who have not watched it, one thing Rose was talking about there with the mechanical futurism is that in the courtroom, to symbolize, or represent you leafing through the court record and presenting evidence and throwing things in people's faces, what they have is essentially a big holograph projector in the center of the courtroom, which can be used to bring up evidence and show pictures, or, they at one point they show the holographic image of the bullet and the scan of the bullet, from the DL6 incident, and they bring that up. And there's bits where a character will, Minority Report, grab the hologram with their hands and shove it at the other, at the prosecutor and that sort of thing, and make it slide across the courtroom, and it, disappears into a haze of sparks.
Yeah,
So
I guess
it's
it's the trouble of figuring out how to actually give presenting evidence gravity in a visual way, because it's a movie versus you playing a game.
Yeah.
When you present the proper evidence, the character will be and lean forward and slam on the desk. But in a movie, that doesn't quite hit home the same way as having something visual fly at them.
Right. And I think my main criticism of this is that I kind of wish that they had just used it more and in more creative ways if they were going to do it, whereas they only utilize it maybe 2 times throughout the whole movie, you know?
I thought it was a
3
fun
times.
idea. I wish that it had been more in the spirit of the game,
Mhm.
just in general. Like, I felt like it, woof woof, Roxy hated it too. Roxy the dog on the podcast. Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of things about this film is the fact that like Ace Attorney for me is like a game about being hopeful and like
Believing in your client.
believing in your client and all that stuff. And while watching this movie, I thought to myself, I don't feel very hopeful. I felt like I was looking at like a weird post-apocalyptic wasteland.
It's the dark age of the law.
It was also
you keep-
kind of just like the end was such a letdown because the way they shot the Von Karma breakdown scene, like the lead up to it, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be great. And it was. They didn't shoot it well. Like, they should have switched back and forth between, because he does this thing where he's like ranting about criminals and then him just like sadly like walking around with his head down. And I wish they had like switched back and forth between that a little bit.
I mean, I like the scene where they like
And it's like a solid 5 minutes of the movie that did need to be in there. Just
I mean,
keeps going and going and going.
I like the part where he has like his breakdown and like the camera changes constantly. I thought that was very nice.
So that would have been good if there had been some contrast in between it, like him talking, him just like looking, like I was so frustrated because I thought it was going to be cool when I saw those camera changes, and it wasn't.
Right.
I was pissed off.
It's a good concept, but unfortunately the execution isn't quite there because the editing is inconsistent within that moment. If you're gonna do the smash cut, or not smash cut editing, but the fast cut editing where you cut off as if there's seconds in between each cut that are removed from the sequence, essentially, to show that like, oh, this is going on way longer than it actually is, and we're cutting fast to show that like he's been ranting in the courtroom, but instead they mix that in with regular cuts. So Von Karma's breakdown instead seems very staccato and not quite consistent.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it.
Also, he didn't bang his head against the wall, which was the coolest part of his breakdown. So
right.
They should have had him. They should have had the actor injure himself on set. No, don't do that. The thing about this film is, like, they're legitimately, the Blue Badger is one of the fucking funniest things that could possibly have happened in this film. It is legitimately hilarious. Like, I'm pretty sure those on the ye old Tumblr ages remember the gift set of, like, like a man in a mascot suit preventing a hammer from hitting the gavel,
from slamming down, yeah.
But, like, and that is a scene that is completely unexplained. Like, it will never be explained. And, like...
Sorry, hang on. I just want to jump in real quick. Again, for somebody who has not seen this movie, the judge goes to throw down his gavel and deliver his judgment. There has been a person in a Blue Badger suit this whole time. We have not seen who's in the Blue Badger suit. The Blue Badger, it's like a mascot suit, like a Disneyland mascot suit, big fake head kind of thing. Puts their hand in between the gavel and the desk so that it cannot hit the desk and the judge can't give his judgment. And he pauses and he's like, "Excuse me." And then the camera turns back to focus on people coming into the courtroom with surprise evidence kind of thing.
It's like Yanni Yogi coming back.
Yeah. And then as the camera pans back from a distance, you see the Blue Badger costume collapse. The head rolls across the courtroom floor, and there appears to be nobody inside the suit.
It was the spirit of justice.
Yes, the spirit of justice. And nobody really comments on it. The movie does not address it in any way, and they move on immediately after it. And it's a truly delightful non sequitur that just happens out of the blue.
It's so
just
good.
to prolong the trial.
I wish,
sorry, continue,
more
Tiago.
of that had happened.
Yeah, I wanted more of that. Exactly.
Exactly. Like, that inherently to me is Ace Attorney, right? Like, some wild shit occurring. And, like, the fucking fact that, like, it doesn't on a very basis, and, like, most of it's played pretty straight outside of Phoenix, who, like, does a pretty fucking good job of being Phoenix, right? He is completely stressed, sweating the entire time. The scene where he, like, tries to stretch out his word in order to stall for time is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he's really making his words go really long.
Stop that right now. Exactly. And, like, he has to interview a real-life fucking parrot. And, like, you could see the stress in the actor's eyes as the parrot decides to climb onto his shoulder.
Yeah, it did make me wonder, was that in the script? Was that supposed to happen? Or was like
Parrots can be scary.
Or yeah, was the actor just really not comfortable with doing this?
I, like, the fact
The
that
actor
this
wasn't told that this was something that actually happened in the game, and he's just so flabbergasted by it.
You like, I'm sorry, Polly-san. Like, I apologize. Like, that shit is hilarious. But, like, then we talk to Red White, who's, like, upsetting to look at. His
Yeah, he's
wig
not
is
even-
so bad.
There's
Yeah, they
so
completely
much
changed him.
scary shit in this too. He gets poisoned in the movie, and they set the scene up to like an actual person who got poisoned in prison. Like, it's like, but buddy, this is not how I'm supposed to get hit in the head with a fire extinguisher and then killed by a bust falling on my head with a wacky piano noise. Like, this is not.
The thing about it, though, is that, like, sometimes Ace Attorney is dark, right? Because think about the Neo Steel Samurai case. Like, the fucking fact that we were subjected to several shots of a suicide
But
scene.
I didn't love that. Yeah, and we also get that in this fucking movie, and I didn't like it then either. I thought it was a little incongruous with the tone of the game.
Yeah, it sometimes goes like, we got to see that ghost where, like, it's a lady whose head is, like, stuck in a parrot cage, and it gave me some real Bloodborne vibes.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a weird.
Me sees a cage on somebody's head. Cool Bloodborne reference.
It really is.
I love Bloodborne.
It's definitely Miike's like horror,
Yeah.
tendencies coming out there in full force. As soon as he gets even a little bit of a chance to do something a little more horror leaning, he just jumps at it, and it's like, I don't know if that quite fits with the rest of this tone of this movie.
I like it. It simply doesn't. That's the problem. Is that, like, the tone for this film jumps all over the place and is never really consistent. And, like, from, like, we get to see them investigate fucking Gourd Lake, and it's them in, like, random fucking spots around the lake just dicking around.
I mean,
like,
that was me in the game for real, though.
Exactly. You see, that's
Most
the thing, though,
accurate
is that,
thing
like,
in the movie.
he's like, that is accurate, but, like, when I watch it, it's simply just, like, there's no goofs or anything. They're just, like, not saying anything, looking at stuff and being like, is this it? And, like, either Maya thinks is like, no. Like,
Yeah.
that's not...
The closest thing we get to a Maya goof is when she sees the, like, Steel Samurai blow-up doll and does, like, some poses. And I was like, oh my god,
Yep.
let her be goofy. No. She just looks like a Fatal Frame character.
Unfortunately, her sister died 3 days ago, and she has not had time to grieve.
If my sister died, I wouldn't become a Fatal Frame character.
You wouldn't? I feel like I would if my sister died.
She'd become a Bloodborne character.
I feel like what would happen is that I feel like a Fatal Frame protagonist is absolutely someone who had their sister die 2 days ago and now has to investigate a creepy shrine.
I mean, yeah, but also, like, what's the one where it's all about, like, oh, you were in a car crash, so you have survivor's guilt, and it's like, shut up, ghosts. You don't know me.
That's the dumbest one. Yeah, the ghosts are just jealous that you're alive, honestly.
So, like, would not go into the haunted house.
Sounds Ace Attorney as hell.
That's fine.
Alright, so not only is Maya, like, not really Maya, but, like, the portrayal of Mia possessing Maya is also the craziest shit. Where it's like, it's a fucking, like, crazy ghost-looking ass Mia, and, like, Phoenix is, like, turning his head being like, does anyone else fucking see this? And, like, no one else sees it. As opposed to just, like, Mia just showing up next to him in the fucking booth, being like, let's
like
fight.
like the Japanese ghost, like, really creepy, scary, dead person ghost.
Also, hell is like a post-apocalyptic New York that's in flames.
Also, like, why is
Yeah, don't
Gregory
worry about
Edgeworth
that.
in hell?
Why is Gregory Edgeworth in hell?
We
So, like,
establish through the course of the movie and the case that an interesting twist, I think. Because they didn't do the whole earthquake elevator thing. They say, oh,
Mhm.
young Miles saw his father messing with the evidence locker, and he believed that he was tampering with evidence. And so he said, well, I'm going to become a prosecuting attorney instead because my father was cheating. And it turned out he wasn't. He was discovering that Von Karma was,
Cheater.
messing with the evidence. So why would Gregory be in hell? He didn't do anything wrong.
The
I think,
gods watched the trial
Ah!
and
I
they
think that-
believed him.
So we all know the fact that, like, the reason that Gregory Edgeworth claims that Yanni Yogi killed him was to, like, as a ghost, like, not accuse Miles of killing him,
Yeah,
right?
'cause
like that.
He never saw Von Karma, so
He never saw Von Karma, and he was like, "Well, obviously, I'm not gonna point Miles as the killer, so I'll point Yanni Yogi." And like Yanni Yogi is like, I forgot that his fingerprint, like, was his fingerprints chemical burned away in the video game, or is
Yes.
that just a move? Oh, that did happen.
No, he did that in the game too.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Yeah.
We got to see that scene. It was
Von
wild.
Karma told him to do it.
I mean, yeah, we all saw. I visually saw it. The
Yeah.
man's
we did watch this with a friend who's a chemist and was immediately like, "That's not how you do that. This is a bad idea. This is
If I were to burn my fingerprints off, this is how I would do it. I think that, like, I don't know. I want to enjoy this movie. I almost call it a fucking game. Larry Butts is perfect because he's exactly what I would imagine Larry Butts to be. Everything about that character was correct.
There's a lot of funny background characters too. Like all the people in the back of the court are all like dressed up in like outrageous like anime convention gear. And
Oh,
that's kind of funny.
The
like-
wildest shit is the fact that, like, they sell tickets to go to courtroom cases. You could buy a ticket to a courtroom case.
Yeah, this is a weird, like, change from the games that I'm not sure. Like, I assume, like, oh, this is some post, like really shitty future in which, courtroom drama is entertainment to the people. So we'll sell tickets to courtroom cases. But, like, I don't know. Things are fucked up in the games too, and they didn't need to sell tickets to the cases. But I guess they wanted to figure out why there would be a crazy audience in the background. I guess was the rationale.
The space to animate the all of the crazy characters in the background, so they just made them blobs in the audience.
Yeah.
I like the fact that like Phoenix is like, Larry, what are you doing? He was like, oh, I got a front row seat, and like pulls out a ticket like it's a fucking basketball game. As opposed to, like, someone's life or death being justified here. Really, like, it's weirdly enough gallows humor.
Yeah, very like ancient Roman Colosseum. Like we throw the criminals in there and see who wins. They
They pulled out the metal detector on Von Karma, which is very nice. Miles, of course, blames himself for killing his father because he's a little wimpy man.
Oh, there's a funny Miles scene where someone accuses his cravat of fluttering, and he gets really mad and yells at them because it doesn't flutter that much.
Yeah, that is Ace Attorney.
Yeah, that's what I want.
The fact that, like, Lotta Hart is there and it's just like, yeah, sorry I lied. I thought I could be a big witness in a court case. And then turns around and looks at Miles Edgeworth dead in the eyes and goes, I'm sorry. And then just runs out of the court case. And then the judge is like, all right, well, Von Karma, do you have another witness? And Von Karma's like, yeah, I didn't think we'd have to bring him in, I guess. We do. Like, that's hilarious. But, like, oh my god. I also do love how nonplussed the judge is most of the time during, like, literally anything. Like, it's a very different characterization of the judge that we know, which is, like, I would imagine the judge that we know from the video games is, like, a background Popeyes character. Like, he's just, like, having a jovial time.
And he just he takes everything at face value in the game, right?
Yeah.
The judge is just like, oh, wow, really? gee whiz, like that's really impressive, Mr. Wright or Mr. Edgeworth or whoever, whereas the judge in the movie is like, are you sure that this is correct?
He's like sitting there dead face and he just goes, that's
yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, he's like, he's like very like mellow comparatively.
The thing about it though is that like everyone else in Ace Attorney is kind of like an anime-esque character, but the judge is like straight out of fucking Archie. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just that like I look at him and I'm like, yeah, I can catch him being caught up in a scheme.
It's the eyes. It's the
where
eyes.
He has to buy a bunch of burgers for the day and not be able to finish them. Meanwhile, like Phoenix is like, I got kidnapped by a serial killer and I have to defend someone who's guilty. And the judge is like, I've bought too many hamburgers today and now I have to give them away. So like the judge in the movie is very much like blase. He takes everything, he just like, he doesn't say no to anything. Like that's the thing, is that like
just lets things go with the flow.
He's really underneath that waterfall cultivating his chi.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's a different judge. It's not the judge I know. And that's what
it's not the judge we know and love.
I love my Archie judge.
So that as the movie like kind of progresses, then we go through the the rest of case 4. We have all that stuff happen, with Edgeworth in the boat, and then Von Karma showing up. Von Karma at first is actually way more like professional, basically. Like he shakes Phoenix's hand. He's like, I look forward to facing you in the courtroom. When he talks to the judge, he doesn't immediately like commandeer the whole courtroom and like yanking the judge around. Instead he's like, well, here's my case.
That is not the character who would have made his pin number 0001 because he's number 1.
Yeah. He's number because he's number 1.
So but we kind of go through the whole case there. But I don't know if anybody has any other like really like standout like bits here, but yeah, I think one thing I like then is we get our cameos. So as the case is wrapping up at the end, in the crowd, not only can you see Takashi Miike, you can also see the one and only Shu Takumi. As he's cheering with Larry Butts. And the two of them turn to each other and go, yay! And, like, grab each other by the shoulders and cheering that the court case is complete. So that was kind of cute to see Takumi show up here.
Yeah, I like that he's here. I'm just like, Takumi, how do you feel about all this?
Yeah, here's the thing. I went looking for some of the reception to this movie. I looked to see if there was any interviews with Takumi about it or Miike. There's some interviews from Miike about this movie, but they don't really enlighten me on much on how the movie was made or his perspective on it. It really does feel like Miike viewed this as a job, but I obviously I can't say that for 100% certain. As far as like reviews and like how people reacted when this movie came out, it was all over the place. Let's see here. I got some of these quotes here. Thank you to the Ace Attorney wiki, fan wiki, fandom.com wiki, for putting some of these links together here from reviews. But yeah, Richard Eisenbeis of Kotaku praised the movie, calling it the best video game movie ever.
The best video game movie? Clearly did not see Resident Evil 1 with the laser hallway.
Paul Verhoeven of IGN gave the film an 8 out of 10, calling it great. Explosive, high-camp melodrama. Manages to work both as a legal thriller and a pitch-perfect adaptation of the game. On the other hand, Jay Weisberg of Variety, a more traditional, this time not Variety obviously is not a video game publication. They're just like a movie trade. They said it was a dull production that was criminally long and generally lacking in Miike's playful visual hyperbole.
Sheesh.
So basically, it seems like normal,
you have to
like
fucking
film
kill him.
critics. Film critics generally did not like this film, whereas game journalists and game critics were more positive on it and were willing to forgive more of the faults. Which I think just boils down to, if you have familiarity with the games, you're starting to pick up on what it's trying to put down and are able to be on that wavelength. Mm-hmm. Whereas for people who haven't played the games, they are probably it's a bigger bridge to make your way across.
Oh yeah, I think it would be.
I guess that's the problem.
Incomprehensible
with
you could even say that it's a dusky bridge.
Oh.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, I guess that's kind of the case with every video game movie. Like, you're banking on the people who have played the game, that their nostalgia is, brings money in, but also you have to kind of figure out how to create a followable and cohesive story for somebody who hasn't played the game to understand. And sometimes that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
When there's so much stuff missing.
I mean, it's always tough when you're adapting something, but I think when you're adapting a video game into a movie, you have to change, things for the medium.
Mm-hmm.
And while still preserving the spirit of it, you can make that argument, different ways for what is preserving the spirit. You know what I mean? So since this has come out, right? Since this Ace Attorney movie came out, I'm looking at a list of other video game movies here. And so not only was there another Silent Hill movie, there was the Need for Speed movie, there was the Warcraft movie, there was Tomb Raider, the redo of Tomb Raider, not the Angelina
The original
Jolie
Tomb
one.
Raider movies were not terrible.
There was Rampage.
Yeesh.
Detective Pikachu, obviously.
That was a good one.
That one actually slapped. That one actually worked.
Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the Mortal Kombat movie.
I didn't see 2, but I liked 1.
The Uncharted movie. And also Werewolves Within, which is, if you may recall, is based on a VR Ubisoft werewolf game.
Wait, what?
I want to circle back to Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider.
You want to circle back to that? Yeah, sure. We're back here. What's up?
Everybody think about it for a moment. Okay, we can go now.
Oh, okay.
We just needed to consider it for a second.
Yeah, I just think that was decent.
They were. I have a lot of nostalgia for
decent.
those movies because my dad watched them. Because my dad and I grew up watching my dad play Tomb Raider.
Aw. Moe. I didn't.
That was like the dawn of when we got... Okay, Tiago. It was right when we got our first computer. So, and I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And I would go online and we would find walkthroughs because my dad would get stuck. And then I would print them out and I would sit there and read them to him so he could figure out where he was going.
That's actually Moe.
Helpful.
We're all just children helping the gamers of the past move on to the future.
Yeah, I mean, I have also precious memories of helping my dad with playing video games, so...
Would you watch a Myst movie, Rose?
God, no. That was a terrible idea. That's the worst video game movie idea I've ever heard.
Damn, you didn't have to kill him.
Tiago, have you played Myst?
No. God, no.
Okay, well... He didn't know. That's fine.
I don't know. I assume there's just Myst in it.
It's a silent protagonist, first-person point-and-click puzzler.
Sounds like the movie we saw recently, Mad God. No, it's not. Don't watch that. Don't look that up. I like that movie, but it's not. It's pretty artsy fartsy. That's what I'll say.
Listen,
so
Ben got me to watch The Lighthouse. I can probably stomach just about anything at that point.
No.
In terms of how bizarre it is.
No. Incorrect. That God is different. Ben knows that it's different too. That's why
we can't turn the Ace Attorney movie podcast into the Mad God movie podcast.
You're right. That's true. We gotta move on.
I'm not gonna watch it, and neither is Des, probably.
It takes a lot for me to sit and watch a movie, and if people don't think it's good, I'm probably not gonna watch it.
Well, no, I think it's good. It's just
I'm not gonna watch.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
So as the movie wraps up here, then during the you get your little like yay, scene in which everybody's doing great and congratulating everybody, and a little bit of wrap up. They don't really tease anything. There was never a sequel to this. But then
Thank
during
God,
the
I get
credit
to wash my
sequence,
hands of that.
yeah. During the credit sequence, we do get some references to the farewell, my turnabout, including Matt and Guard and Adrian Andrews showing up for half a second, and Edgeworth holds up the guitar of the Jammin' Ninja, and so there's like a fun little bit, referencing.
Like,
some
they
other pieces
continue
then.
their journey as lawyers.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun to see some references to that. But yeah, that's kind of the film overall. It's a little difficult to see now if you're interested in seeing it, because your main options are either buying the Blu-ray or paying to watch it on YouTube, if you want to watch it in any legal format, essentially. So it's a shame that they don't put this out on any streaming services and make it easier for people to see. But at this point, it seems like it's never going to really get that cult hit vibe and continue on from here. After this, I'm sure some folks are familiar that there was an Ace Attorney anime adaptation, which did all 3 of the first games, the original trilogy as well.
Really?
Yeah, there's an anime that went through the entire series there. So it is fine. I have not watched all of it.
I know, we got kind of like, I don't know. I remember the animation not being super great.
Yeah, it's here's the thing, and this is probably the most damning thing I can say. It's perfunctory.
What does that? I don't know what that word means.
Oh, sorry. It means that it just does it. It adapts.
It just regurgitates
and
it.
Does not. It just does not do anything special with it, though. Like it is purely.
Raise your hand if you learned a new word today.
I guess me. Yeah, I don't have a choice in the matter.
So I don't know. It's not awful by any means, but it is not. If you would hope that something like that would take the opportunity to add a little spark to it, and unfortunately, it's just like, here you go. We have reproduced everything from the games with very average animation. So, but you can go watch the OPs on YouTube if you want and get a little bit of fun Ace Attorney art next to some music.
It's
that
fun
way,
to
so.
watch after you haven't played the games for a really long time, because you're like, oh yeah, that happened.
My weirdest critique of it that I remembered at the time was that I was like, man, the line art on this is just way too basic and way too thin.
No, yeah.
I wish there was a little more life to this line art.
The art
but
was
hey,
just like,
not to start shitting on the on the anime at the end of the movie podcast here, but yeah. Any other last thoughts about the movie here before we wrap up?
I thought it was a cinematic masterpiece. I don't know what anybody else's problem is.
I thought it was too long, but it's worth it for like 3 or 4 scenes.
It's two fucking hours. Like
just yeah. I don't know.
I'm going into this
My
as
second
somebody
walk-
who's not I'm not a movie buff. I just played the games and I thought I'm like, oh, there's a guy from the game there.
Mm-hmm.
That
I would
gives
not
me my
describe
little bit of
myself.
serotonin.
I would not describe myself as a movie buff. My taste is shit. I watched Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter in theaters. Like, please, take everything I say and consider that I've only had 2 cups of coffee and I'm an idiot.
I want to say that
Aw.
I am a movie buff and I have no formal training. I am a genius. Please consider all my opinions to be law.
Okay.
The wrinkles in my brain are so deep. It's like the Mariana Trench. That being said, the movie's okay. It's like
yeah. I mean, it's like I said with the anime. Like the worst thing you can just say is when it was like, oh, was okay, I guess.
It was okay.
You know,
yeah.
like, and you don't come out of it like with any strong feelings.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh
maybe,
well, that was fun, I guess.
I actually wish it was worse, so I could have more things to say about it. I like the funny scenes. Go look them up on YouTube. Those are all you need.
yeah,
The not Christmas yet scene is like big one.
yeah. So yeah, so that is Ace Attorney / Gyakuten Saiban 2012 by Takashi Miike.
Miike, if you ever meet us, I want you to know that I actually do love this film. My bad.
If we ever happen to come across Takashi Miike in our daily lives,
I'm heading to Starbucks.
Bump into him.
I'll tell you what I think about it.
I had for Starbucks, they actually called the name Takashi instead of Tiago, and we both reached for the cup, and it just fine.
You're both reaching the can of peaches.
You're a little meat cute.
The flower petals blow across the courtyard.
Except his are like grimdark for some reason, and they're horrible flowers.
Yeah. So yeah, next time we are going to be doing it, folks. We are going to be jumping in once and finally into Apollo Justice.
My boy.
Apollo.
So get ready. We're going to be playing Case 1, the very first tutorial case of that game there, which will give us an introduction to a whole new cast of characters and set up a whole lot of stuff. For it being a tutorial case, if I'm reaching deep into the dark recesses of my memory, I think we will have quite a lot to talk about just from a tutorial case, because there's a lot going on there.
Can we say for next time that we started dating because of my Apollo Justice and Phoenix Wright phone charms? Like, specifically Apollo Justice. Because that was the peak of me loving that child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were working at the same place, and I saw your phone charms were Ace Attorney, and I was like, oh, do you like the Ace Attorney game series? And that's how we started talking for the first time, in earnest. So
icebreaker.
Straight.
I know.
Don't bully. Don't
it was
bully.
so hetero.
Are you
over
calling
here.
me straight on Pride Month, you motherfucker?
Tiago.
If the shoe fucking fits.
That's the meanest
no
thing anyone has
bullying.
ever said to me.
No bullying.
I might be straight, but my wife's not, so watch yourself.
That's right.
So yeah, we will be getting into that. I'm so excited. New art, new characters, new music, a full jump to the DS. Like, this was natively developed for the DS. This was not a Game Boy Advance ported.
Cartridge restriction lifted.
There will be some new gameplay mechanics to go into there and everything. So, yeah. I see what happens when Shu Takumi says, I don't want to make any more Ace Attorney games. I think the story is finished. And then Capcom begs him to come back anyway and write one more game. And he says, okay, I will do one more and shepherd this series into a new era. So what could that be? What will that entail? We'll find out.
Together.
Yeah. So you can follow the show on Twitter at Ace Attorney Pod to stay up to date on the latest episodes, as well as the streams and YouTube uploads. We just uploaded the most recent epised of us doing an art stream, going through some concept art for the...
Oh, dang, you got me excited. I thought somebody was going to start drawing.
Yeah, no, we went through some of the concept art for the original trilogy and talked about that and had a lot of fun doing that. So maybe you'd enjoy that too. So feel free to check that out on our YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at Yotseben. Dessy, where can people find you?
At Yes, This Is Des on Twitter.
Tiago, where can people find you?
They can find me at Tiago S. Dutra. Consider hiring me if you need a software engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Can you software engineer money into my bank account to pay for my vet bills?
Hey, this is my pledge, alright? Get your own pledge.
And Rose, where can people find you?
You can find me at Traumarts on Twitter. And you actually don't have to buy my art this week. It's okay.
Wait, why? Do you want me to buy your art?
No, I'm just giving everyone a break.
Fair
I'm
enough.
such high demand.
That's fair.
Well, I will say, please buy Rose's art then instead.
I'll take it.
So yeah. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We hope you'll rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Those Apple Podcast reviews mean a lot to us because that's, God damn it, Apple, that's the one platform that really matters as far as visibility. So we do not pay to advertise or do anything extra. So
Even
if
just
you
a little
happen to
comment
review
that
us...
says, I liked it.
Yeah, if you leave a nice review on there, who knows? We might even read it on the air. Next episode, we will playing the first case of Game 4, like I said, of Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. A whole new era is about to begin. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Polly's coming.
Bye.
You can see the writing on the pavement. Young kids, they're growing up in basements. Online, a whole new generation. I'ma make mine, so you better go take it. Always, they need a new replacement. Decentralized, can't contain it. We're changing lives, yeah, upgrading. Call it suicide of the older generation.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey,
It's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation.